What's good, Atlanta? This is a Blog and Dirty podcast where Dirty Bird is the word if you haven't heard. I'm your host, John Buhler, staff writer, fansided.com. I'm joined today by an extra special guest, my partner in crime on fanside.com, editor Scott Rogust. He's going to be on here today helping us preview the Falcons-Giants game. So it's going to be a therapy session. It's going to be a time. We're going to drive this thing in the ditch here on a Wednesday. I'm so excited. How about you, Scott?
Hey, man. Glad to be on. Thanks for having me. Thank you for the free therapy session today in front of a live audience. So that'll be fun.
It'll be on YouTube. It'll be great. It'll be wonderful. We got the great people of Atlanta and New York are going to be out and about, trying to buy Christmas presents. Got to do that after this. That's going to be it's going to be fun. Hopefully you got all your shopping and everything done for the holiday season. If not, I'm there with you, man.
Yeah, I still got some stuff to do. That's for Amazon and Walmart to do for me. So yeah, that's something I have to do after.
The worst part is I got to wrap stuff, and I'm a really good writer and a really bad rapper.
I can relate. What I do is I just pay the extra $4, throw it in a bag for me, and wrap it, and that's it. I'll do it. After last year, no.
You go to a department store, you're like, please wrap this thing. I'm like, look at me. Do you think I know what I'm doing? No, they pay you to do this, and I'm paying you to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Like just getting a ball of gift wrap. That's pretty much what I hand to people the past few years. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really pathetic. And my parents are just like, you want to wrap it for you because I'm embarrassing them at that. But not as embarrassing as our football teams have been at various points of this year. Yours a little more than mine, but still our alma maters are doing a little bit better than our NFL teams. I'll just say that.
Yeah, man, go Rutgers, go win that guaranteed rate bowl.
Who are the Scarlets playing?
Kansas State.
Oh, that'd be fun. That's a cool matchup. That's like the previous Pop-Tart Bowl winner.
I really wanted to be in a Pop-Tart Bowl if they allowed the Big Ten in there, but I digress.
It's ridiculous. I think it's Iowa State and Miami this year, and that'll be. I think the Pop-Tart concept is just going to blow Mario Cristobal's mind. He's not ready for this.
They have to pick one of three choices for a Pop-Tart. So that's another game time decision he has to make. That'll be interesting.
We know he's not good at that, but we're going to start here today with some vibe check. We're going to talk about how we're feeling about our respective teams. Again, I said this is going to be a bit of a therapy session for us. So the Giants, I believe, are 2-12. They've lost 9 or more in a row. They've lost a lot.
Yes, lots of losing.
And the Falcons just ended their 4-game losing streak by winning the ugliest Monday Night Football game of all time, needing to stop 2 Hail Marys from Desmond Ridder in the Roomba versus Vegas to get back to 7-7. Also, we benched Kirk Cousins. So let's start with you. You've got this game. You've got a game, I believe, with the Eagles or Cowboys in this season. Is that correct? Or you finished the Commanders? One of those three.
I believe we end the season with the Eagles. I'm pretty sure. Commanders, we got done with too, if I remember correct. It's a long season. I forgot.
Okay, so let's start with this. 2 years ago, Brian Daboll was leading a playoff team. They won a playoff game over the Vikings. Brian Daboll was thought to be the best head coaching hire for like a 3-year span. We was like, why did he not take a job? What went wrong? What's gone wrong? Can it be fixed?
It's really just a combination of so many things. 2022, I could say that schedule was really easy, and I think it kind of masked the issues that they had overall where, they won nine games, I believe, beating beatable teams, and they snuck into the playoffs. You beat the Vikings, who had maybe the worst defense we've ever seen in a long time for a playoff team, and made Daniel Jones look like Colin Kaepernick in the playoffs, like just running through everybody, dicing apart the secondary. And, it masked the issues. Then they get blown out by the Eagles. High hopes for the following year. You get all these guys. And literally the Cowboy game, that's when the season opener last year, everything went downhill. Continued. We have a defensive coordinator beefing with the head coach. Defensive coordinator leaves. Storms at the airport, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And just with Dable, I don't know, I think Josh Allen really made him look good in Buffalo because Josh Allen is basically a unicorn. He's like the Shohei Ohtani of the NFL. And just it just hasn't worked out. Like the offensive play calling is very suspect, especially since he took over. It's not the greatest. You don't have the depth, which I'll get to, with the just nothing's worked out, and it gets me to Joe Shane. Just how could we be 3 years in? You have no offensive line depth, no quarterback depth. After publicly trying to get rid of Daniel Jones, and you don't, and then okay, Daniel, go lead us. What's that going to do? So it's really just a combination of so many things going wrong, and the vibes are bad. We have planes flying over MetLife Stadium, calling them a dumpster fire, and John Mara to fire everyone. We have one more home game, so I'm interested in who's going to buy the next plane message and what that message is going to be. So yeah, the vibes are. I thought the vibes were bad when Joe Judge called for 2 quarterback sneaks deep in his own zone with Jake Fromm, I believe it was.
Yeah.
To get,
Shout out Georgia legend Jake Fromm.
yeah, just to get into better punting position, which my father said as a lifelong Giants fan, that's the embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life. But the vibes may be even worse than that now.
It's hard to believe. I mean, also Joe Judge is probably going to go work for Belichick at Chapel Hill. I figure like he'll work in college. Like he'll be the head coach at Mississippi State. The Giants was just too much here. The one thing that I've kind of noticed is like, for as much as we thought that Brian Dibble and Joe Shane would be like in lockstep coming over from Buffalo and everything like that, they seem to be making moves counter to each other. Yes, Brian Dibble is getting a yelling match with Wink Martindale in an airport. You defend Daniel Jones and then you get rid of him, and then then you lose to Saquon Barkley to a division rival. They both have to go, but like ownership is it's so hard when ownership's not doesn't know what it's doing. You got like the Maras and the Tisches, and I call them the Tischmas to be as disrespectful as possible, just because Wellington's rolling over in his grave right now. This is this is the team that my dad's family all grew up rooting for. So I have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for the Giants, and I feel for the fans. A lot of our Minute Media colleagues are really going through it right now.
Yeah, man, it's really bad. And to get to, like, you bring up the Maras, he gave Shane and Dable the vote of confidence in late October. But all the reporters, they were saying at the time, yeah, that means something, but you got to show something to end out the year to make them, back up that decision, But there's been nothing. It's the 100th season. They haven't won a game at home. They have a revolving door at offensive line and quarterback. And just, is Mara even the right person to make the decisions? Because you see the decisions he's made over the years, they haven't been good in terms of general manager, especially, and head coach.
Yeah, it's difficult, when you can't even get like the most simple of things right. Before I pivot on to the Falcons, I'll ask you this. It seems like you want like a new head coach and GM. Who are some of the candidates that you think would be a good fit for the Giants? For me, I think Mike Vrabel is the one that you need. I feel like you need him or Aaron Glenn. I feel like you need like a defensive-minded guy who's just going to be, listen to me, kind of just go Nick Saban, get everybody like on the same page. I know I'm the biggest Big Johnson hater out there. I don't know how you follow with him. Where else are you kind of looking for a potential head coach?
So the top of my list is definitely Mike Vrabel. They need a proven head coach who knows how to win. You look at that Tennessee tenure for Mike Vrabel. He took him to the AFC Championship game that one year, which was crazy. And they were always in it, like every year. Like they were with him, they were at least, well, pre AJ Brown trade, they were always in it. So that's the top of my list. Ben Johnson is obviously top coordinator. I don't know if the Giants should go the coordinator route again since they went with Dable. I don't know if Ben Johnson would want to come to New York, to either New York team. He banked on himself last year, and he's going to get the pick which spot he wants to go to. Maybe that's Chicago. Who knows? Um, yeah, Aaron Glenn would be pretty good. Like what you said, defensive minded. The defense is terrible. So I've seen what he's done with Detroit. They were really bad when he first got there, and now they're one of the best in the league, even with all the injuries going on right now in Detroit. So those two names, and I'd probably say Liam Cohen from Tampa. Just look
Yeah.
at what he did with Baker Mayfield. Like that team's an offensive juggernaut. So that's one. If they want to go the coordinator route, that wouldn't be bad as well.
Look at how bad Kentucky was without him as the OC. Like they were good when he was there, and then like they're thinking about firing Mark Stoops, the longest tenured guy in the SEC. Aaron Glenn's going to get a job because two of the teams he played for or worked at like are open with the Jets and Saints. My apprehension with Ben Johnson is like he wants to go to Chicago, and I think if you want to go to Chicago, you're just asking yourself to get fired in 3 years. That's the worst place to work. I don't think there. I'd rather go to Jacksonville than Chicago right now. But I don't know how things are. If things are all that much better, they're better comparatively with New York and Atlanta. But like Terry Fontenot is getting a lot of heat right now as the general manager. Terrible draft. Although I think we covered Penix a lot. We'll talk about him here in a second. He's going to be getting his first start here on Sunday versus the Giants. Ricky Morris is fine, although I think he was like the fourth or fifth choice for head coach. Defense has players, doesn't make plays. You get the pass rush going, but then you can't stop cold in the secondary. You get interceptions. You can't rush the passer. The one thing we do that really well is we run the football well, but we also hold. And that's the Blog and Dirty podcast here. That's the Falcons right now. If we lose out, we're still going to be 7-10 for the fourth year in a row. If we win one more game, we're slightly better, so it's improving. It's crazy.
And that's his consistency right there. You don't see that anywhere, even without Arthur Smith.
No, the Arthur Smith 7-10 split. But yeah, that's how we're feeling about our respective teams. Let's move on to that's my quarterback. Hopefully I spelled that correctly. It's the Michael Penix Jr. time in the ATL. In New York, it's on to the 25 NFL draft. We both covered college football. We both covered Penix. Penix was one of our favorite people we covered and everything like that. Fit with Atlanta, we thought was like a lot of stuff, but when he's been out there for Atlanta, in garbage time or in the preseason, he looks pretty good. He can really spin it. I think the city of Atlanta is pretty fired up about that. What are you excited to see about him making his first NFL start on Sunday?
I mean, like you, I was a big fan of Michael Penix. Covering college football, he was one of my favorite quarterbacks last season. I think he would have won the Heisman if he finished out a little bit stronger. I think that would have been his award. I did like him despite those injury concerns in college, the amount of injuries he had, but still the throw power, the accuracy, the deep ball accuracy was incredible. Just seeing Washington was just a fun team to watch that last season. They ran into Michigan's defense and the magic ran out, but that was one thing. That was one player that really stood out to me. And honestly, I wouldn't have hated it if the Giants took him.
Yeah, no.
Be quite honest. Like if he fell to the second round, I would have been all for that, even with the injuries and the offensive line stuff. I think he would have been a good fit, given some semblance of hope instead of the situation we got right now.
Yeah, we're excited to see what he's going to be able to do. Again, there are the injury concerns. He is kind of slight of build. He is left-handed, but he's also, I think Kalen DeBoer said it best. He's the best leader I've ever coached. And Kalen DeBoer's won everywhere, even though all of Birmingham basically wants to run him out of town. Oh, man. But as far as the Giants, so we're saying it might be Tim Boyle, it might be Tommy DeVito, it might be Drew Lock, but you don't care. You want some guy in the NFL draft, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the size speaks volumes. Yeah, last year they tried really hard to get Drake May. There was that report that they were trying to trade up, and the Vikings were trying to trade up to 3 with the Patriots to get Drake May. And I think Robert Kraft said, "Hey, if Brian Daboll and Kevin O'Connell really want this guy, we should draft him." So after that, all the top choices were off the board. So we settled with Malik Neighbors. I say it like it's a bad thing. He's going to be really good. but the quarterback situation is really bad. Definitely, we're probably going to finish within the top two. It's going to be Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. I'm excited for either one of them. Cam Ward kind of came out of nowhere this year. Really, literally put on the Superman cape. The trailer's dropping tomorrow for Superman, by the way, and it's fitting. And
Yes.
just he knows how to put the team on his back. Like that California game really stood out. Like I forget what the score was, like 35-10, 38-10, and they won a 39-38 or something like that.
Yeah. Super late start and everything, playing in the craziest Cal games since what Jeff Tedford was the coach back in like the mid 2000s. So it's looking like it's going to be y'all and the Raiders going 1-2 with quarterback between Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Is that kind of, I know you're probably monitoring that a little bit closer to me. Is there anybody else looking for a quarterback near the top 10 and who's kind of looking like QB3 right now?
So in that case, I mean, I kind of followed it this year. The Titans really stood out with Will Levis. I wasn't really a big fan of his coming out of college. Like he had the prototypical stuff that you look for. And now you see he got benched again for Mason Rudolph, and it seems like that's going to be the rest of the season type thing after the last game against the Bengals. So they're a team. The Cleveland Browns stand out because you got to get out of that Deshaun Watson contract. You just got to like bench him or something because he was a main deterrent on that team. A talented team, very talented team, and he just drugged them down with him. So those two stand out, and I wouldn't rule out the Jets if they're planning on moving on from Aaron Rodgers at the end of the year, depending on who they hire a general manager or head coach. Do they want to have Aaron Rodgers or they want to draft someone? And in terms of QB3, it's gotta, like, in my opinion, like you're seeing a lot of guys go back. Drew Aller went back. Garrett Nussmeier, he's going back to college. Jalen Milroe probably has the most upside out of the rest of the quarterbacks available. It's just the inconsistency. The inconsistency really stands out. He'll show up and show out against Georgia. Sorry, John, about that, but like a really good team, he'll ball out. But then he plays Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, and it's just nothing.
Yeah, I'm thinking Milroe, it's going to go back and forth if he's going to come back or not. We'll see. Obviously, Nussmeier and Haller came back. I think it's got to be either Milroe, and honestly, out of necessity, I guess Carson Beck's going to be pushed up towards the top, particularly if Todd Monken gets a team, which I think he might. There could be some sort of parity there. As far as Ewers, I know our colleague, our boss, Cody Williams, is all about Quinn Ewers. No, dude. It's Sam Bradford. And if Sam Bradford and Andy Dalton had a nephew, that would be him. It's just he's just brittle, man. It's
the opposite side of the Red River rivalry. Just other side. Yeah.
I guess that the last other quarterback is could Dylan Gabriel possibly get in the first round? Like he's solid. He's older. He's small. He's had knee injuries and stuff. I think if he goes somewhere like San Francisco or Seattle, like or LA, like the Rams, like that could be a pretty good fit for him. Like I think he'll interview well. I think he'll go to like the Senior Bowl and stuff like that. But you're right though, man. Like beyond y'all and the Raiders, it's like they're like the Titans. They can't go back with Levis again. Are you kidding me?
No, definitely not. I mean, they tried. Callahan tried again in this year, and I think he's seen enough. He's just seen enough, and just I want to draft my own guy, whoever that is. So
there is also the possibility of somebody getting Sam Darnold in free agency, and he's going to probably make $25 million a year at least.
Oh, definitely. Like he's really shown that Jet. Like, don't judge him on that Jet tenure, because on the Panthers, not great. End of the Panthers tenure, pretty good. Not fantastic. Now you see him on the Vikings. Granted, they have a great offensive line. They have a great offensive play call, and they have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson. He's got all this available to him. So that's one thing that stands out. Like maybe could be hyping him up a little bit more, but probably he's going to be the top quarterback available this offseason.
I like him in Tennessee. I think that fits with Callahan. Kind of knows what he's doing, but then again, Amy Adams Strunk, just another owner who doesn't know what they're doing. How do you ruin this with Mike Vrabel? How's Mike Vrabel still like he's an assistant on the Browns? How is this possible? I don't understand this.
Between him and Pete Carroll, I was like, how could no one hire them like last year after they got let go? That's still baffling to me. And I mean, Vrabel's going to get hired this time around, so that's a good thing because he's a good head coach.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the NFL as much as everybody wants to run Ryan Day out of town, unless they lose on Saturday, which that could open up a whole other can of worms. Maybe y'all hire Ryan Day.
No, thank you. I'm good.
fair enough. I think our colleague Chris Landers' head might actually explode if that happens.
Yeah.
And in between, go ahead, Scott.
No, I was gonna say he won't have a good time with that.
No, losing Soda, getting Ryan Day. Oh my god, yeah. that'd be brutal here. But we talked about our quarterbacks. Let's be very Dan Quinn here. Let's be about the ball. Let's preview the very most important game of the week between the Falcons and Giants. Okay, so it's in MetLife, I believe, right?
No, it's at Mercedes-Benz.
Is it really? Falcons, Giants. It is. I don't know anything, man. Like, the sun didn't come out today. It's overcast. It's in a cloud. I've been dog sitting for 10 straight days. I have no idea what's going on.
It's fine, man. The days blend into each other.
Oh, dude, it's like the holiday season. It's like basically from like the 22nd until like the 4th. It's just one giant day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. So if you could be positive, what do the Giants do well? Like, what's a strength of this team that a mediocre team like the Falcons could like not foresee? Like, for example, the Raiders can rush the quarterback, and that was a problem for Kirk Cousins.
I mean, with the edge rushers that the Giants have on this team, they should be able to get to the quarterback. This year, it hasn't really been the case. They made that big deal trade for Brian Burns and gave him a huge contract extension. He's not really doing as much as you would have hoped. Kayvon Thibodeau is on the opposite side. He's not really living up to that first round pick. Man, that first round of Thibodeau and Evan Neal, I was doing backflips that night. And it's not looking good right now. In that case, they should be able to, but it's just, I don't know if that's going to be the case. The only real positive is the run game. Tyrone Tracy he's making the Saquon Barkley departure hurts, because you see he's going on like a historic run with the Eagles right now, and he's been like the missing piece that they've needed for a long time. And better than DeAndre Swift, that's for sure, and having a good offensive line. That it's what we expected. The narrative of I can't believe that Barkley's doing this. How can he do it on the Giants? It's the Giants. He wouldn't be able to do this even if they kept him. Eagles have just the solid foundation, like the Cowboys, solid foundation of offensive line that's set for decades. And you're seeing that, but Tyrone Tracy, he's a hell of an athlete, switching from wide receiver to running back, and he's probably their main bright spot. The turnovers are an issue that he has to work through, but if they could just run the ball, make life easier for Tim Boyle, who's probably starting this week because DeVito is in concussion protocol, and Drew Lock's dealing with the heel injury. So it's probably Tim Boyle. He looked okay late last week against the Ravens, better than what they've been doing recently. And just if they could run the ball effectively, that'd be great. Maybe they'll have some semblance of hope.
Got to keep it low scoring, and we will turn the ball over, and we will do other dumb stuff. We'll see what Penix does. I would say areas of strength that we have, again, the running game has been pretty solid. Bijan Robinson's kind of leveled up. Drake London, if he's getting a little more consistent quarterback play. The receiving core with London, Darnell Mooney, and Raven McLeod has been really solid. 1, 2, 3. Cousins did a good job dispersing the ball around. Kyle Pitts, he kind of got outshined by Brock Bowers in the Raiders game, and just kind of go dogs there. But the offensive line, there's just a lot of holding penalties. Like Chris Lindstrom's holding a lot, and he's supposedly our best player, and it's frustrating. I don't trust Younghoe Koo at kicking anymore. Bradley Pinion's been great punting, doing a great job there. We have a little bit of a pass rush now, but the secondary giving up a lot of plays, giving up a lot of big plays now. Although they have played a little more in their, it's low scoring because Cousins couldn't do anything. And that's why we had to bench him. And I would say that from this perspective, like Atlanta should win this game, but any game Atlanta should win, they either don't or don't make it easy. That's what they do.
I'll say this: that you have Penix in there now, you probably have higher hope because the secondary that he's going to face is good. Is just they're bad. They're not good. You saw Rashad Bateman like juking guys wide open down the field, right by the goal line. The secondary is just, don't even get me started with the secondary. It's really brutal back there. They don't really have a top cornerback. Deonte Banks is supposed to be that. He hasn't been living up to the first round pick. So if Drake London gets open downfield, they should be able to do something, or Kyle Pitts should be able to easily score some deep touchdowns.
Yes, hopefully we can move the ball with precision. There is one thing that has been a real concern for me. It's a new staff. It's pretty much everybody who came over from the Rams with Raheem Morris, with Zach Robinson as the first-time play caller, Jimmy Lake back as defensive coordinator after failing at UW, the predecessor to Kalen DeBoer up there. His time at Washington, the head coach, was just like awful, like Tyrone Willingham bad, just some awful Washington Husky stuff. So I was not a fan of Jimmy Lake coming in. It's gotten better, but the Raheem Morris of it all, I'm kind of wondering, like, okay, dude, you were a head coach like 15 years ago. If you're going up against an NFL caliber head coach, basically, if your head coach is better than Mike McCarthy, you shrink. If you're playing Mike McCarthy or worse, you do okay, or you shrink. I think in a way, I felt like Antonio Pierce like kind of outcoached him on Monday night. It was wild, and hopefully Pierce gets another opportunity. I think this team's just in shambles with whatever Dave Ziegler did with the Raiders. That was weird.
Yeah, I can't fault Antonio Pierce. Literally, the Raiders and the Giants are lockstep similar. They wanted a quarterback, they didn't get one, so they settled for a top playmaker available. And it's like, okay, we'll go with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, and hopefully, maybe we do good. If we do bad, we get a top pick and we get pick our quarterback next year. Even though this class isn't the greatest quarterback-wise, but still, you have your top choice of a good one. So, yeah, just not all Antonio Pierce. Definitely not.
He played for the Giants, didn't he, back in the day, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He was a good team captain.
Yeah, he played linebacker. I remember him on the Madden back in the day. Yeah, that was a dude I may remember at one point. But I'm gonna take the Falcons winning by like I'm gonna take the Falcons winning like 27-17. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now.
Okay, you have higher expectations of the Giants than I do. I would say let's go 38-10 Falcons.
We will turn the ball over. You will get a pick six or a fumble recovery, so that's baked into it too.
You underestimate their ineptitude.
We all have those seasons that are just absolutely awful. I mean, this has got to be the worst Giants season for you, probably 30-something years. It's got to be that bad.
Like I said, I thought the Joe Judge run was bad. This may be up there. It might be up there.
I had the Bobby Petrino year is still the worst for me. That's still the worst. But after we've kind of talked about our teams, let's go around the perimeter. Around I-285, the death contraption that confines Atlanta. If you go driving on I-285, good luck, because it's like a motor speedway, but you go 65 miles an hour and there's just tractor trailer trucks. It's scary. It's a scary place. So our thoughts about teams outside of Atlanta and New York. We're talking off air. I think you've got some thoughts about the Eagles and Commanders. Let's start with the Birds. What are you kind of feeling about with the Eagles right now?
For a team that's dealing with as much, it seems like dysfunction on a weekly basis, much like every year, they still look pretty damn good. Like the Steelers usually find a way to like grind you down, beat you to a pulp, and then they'll barely beat you. That's just how they do. How they win games, and Eagles just destroyed them. So just seeing how they are, the Lions all banged up now, Eagles might get the number one pick, or not number one pick, number one seed. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just the way it's going right now, just they look good. Jalen Hurts got to get more involved in the passing game. He did pretty good this past week. Saquon Barkley's a game changer, backwards hurdles and all. So I don't want, Giants fans, you don't want to see the Eagles in the Super Bowl, but seeing the Eagles in the Super Bowl with Saquon Barkley 1 year removed from the team, that's just going to be absolutely brutal. So, yeah, I think that depending on how Nick Sirianni does, barring, late season collapse like last year, I think they're going to go pretty far this year. So that's my thought on the Eagles.
Yeah, man. Like we actually beat them. It's an unbelievable. It's like I can't believe the Falcons actually beat the Eagles back in week 2 with Cousins. And it seems like the Eagles have lost like 2 games this year. That was one of them. And the other part is like the other part that's absolutely ridiculous is like I don't think the Eagles and the Eagles fans even like Sirianni. Like they could fire him after going like 15-2, like they lose in the divisionals, like it's some Marty Schottenheimer nonsense.
He's the most Philly coach too, like the Philly type coach, and they don't like him. The irony is just fantastic.
I think it's just a testament to how good Jeffrey Lurie is as an owner, and really how good Howie Roseman is as a general manager. Because Hurts is fine. Hurts is not. He's good. There's always you always left kind of wanting more. It's the same thing in Alabama, same thing in Oklahoma, same thing with the early part of his Eagles career, and it kind of works. But like they may get the 1 seed. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they're still really good.
Yeah, and like get back on Sirianni. He has all this talent around him. It's hard to not succeed. I mean, he did it last year. Like the one comparison I came up with, he's like the Aaron Boone of the NFL. He has all this talent. He's not the greatest coach, but they win. The talent overcomes the coaching, and they win. So, yeah.
It's like Brian Snitker too. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So one team I want to talk about a little bit. Let's talk about the Colts. I can't figure them out. Like they're still kind of sort of in it. The Titans and Jags are really bad. Houston's not running away with it. I think Shane Steichen's a good head coach. I don't trust Anthony Richardson. The Colts are just like, it feels like it's a team that like in the final month of the season, it could be like they could finally get there or they can completely just tear this thing down. I feel like this is a team that's absolutely teetering right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with them. I have a friend who's a Colts fan. He's going through it and just, I don't know. Like I don't know. Chris Ballard might have to. I don't know. Just the roster he's built is just, it's not sustainable. And what's a winnable AFC South? Like the Texans, all the talent they have, they're not like kicking the doors down every week. They're getting beat. They're getting beat by the Lions at the last second. I forgot they lost to some other beatable team. Just, it's right there, and you're 2 games back of a wild card spot with 3 weeks to go. You could have won last week.
Yeah.
If you hadn't gone for that dumb trick play, the double reverse pass, if they hadn't done that and Jonathan Taylor didn't drop the ball right before the goal line, they might have won. So,
yeah, they haven't won a game in Jacksonville since Deflategate, and I'll tell you what, man, like Chris Ballard, like is there anybody in football who gets to operate without consequence more than that dude? It's unbelievable. Like he can just pick whomever, like John Lynch too. They can do whatever they want and it doesn't matter, and they can make like the worst decisions, and they get like a 20% raise every year or something ridiculous. It's unbelievable. But yeah, you're right though. The Colts, it feels like they got to make a GM change if they don't make the playoffs. I think that needs to happen because Steichen's kind of got it figured out.
Yeah, I don't think he's the main problem on that team. Some of the decisions are confusing, but trying to get the most out of it, the benching Anthony Richardson kind of paid off. He's played a little bit better. It's not perfect, but decision paid off. And just, I give him another year and get him like a better, better personnel, better players. Someone, maybe a new voice would help him out with that.
For sure. And the other team we want to talk on has a new voice, a new direction with the Commanders, who Falcons play next week. Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, Josh Harris, Jaden Daniels. I thought they were going to be pretty good towards the second half of the year. They got off to a pretty hot start. This team's going to be a problem for a while now.
Yeah, from a Giants fan perspective, just seeing the team that finished last place in the division last year look infinitely better now, like after 1 year. Just 1 year, you bring in a new coach, a new general manager who was a finalist for the Giants job 2022. Yesterday, a journalist, Ian O'Connor, brought up that search. John Mara loved Adam Peters, but he liked Joe Shane a little bit more. And just seeing what he's done with his first year. I mean, granted, you got Jaden Daniels with your first pick. That's pretty damn good to do. Just having the second overall pick, and I could get the Heisman winner who puts up video game numbers with LSU. Not bad.
No.
And Dan Quinn as the head coach. I wasn't the most. It felt like he was the last choice because Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn decided they're going to go back to Detroit for another year. So, but he's turned out to be a competent head coach. I don't, not the greatest mind in the world, not the greatest coach in the league by far, but stable enough to do, get the most out of his players. And you're seeing what the Cowboys are doing without him on defense. Like, it's not good. So bringing that defensive mind helps. But yeah, just seeing like what could have been, if they hired Adam Peters. Dan Quinn, the Giants hired Adam Peters. Dan Quinn was a coaching candidate that year too. Well, if they brought those two in there, I think he's from New Jersey, so the fit perfectly. So he was a Jersey guy. But just what could have been, you see 1 year and they're 9-5, probably making the playoffs, barring some collapse where the Rams and the Seahawks sneak in before them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I had a feeling Dan Quinn would succeed at his second NFL head coaching opportunity. One thing, also I share a birthday with him, so apparently, if you're born on September 11th, like you're just become a famous coach, like Dan Quinn, Tom Landry, Paul Bear Bryant. That's apparently, or you're like an English musician, whether you're like Richard Ashcroft from the Verve or Johnny Copeland of Coldplay. But that's kind of what that is. But when he hired Cliff Kingsbury as his OC, I'm like, this is going to be good. Like, he always has a good idea for talent. Like, his OCs in Atlanta were awesome. Kyle Shanahan, Steve Sarkisian, Dirk Cutter, he might win the Broyles. I don't know. He's doing great things with Ashton Jeanty there in Boise State, back up there. That's a team that, like, for 25 years, pretty much the entire ownership of Daniel Snyder was just a black mark of the NFL. I know this is a rival team. This is a team that I don't particularly care for either, but like it's nice to eventually see a team who's just been down forever get back to being good, because they were so good in like the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, and then they just sucked for 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, you put it like the little asterisk, like the early 2010s with RG3 and Kirk Cousins, where I think they made it to the playoffs. Yeah, RG3 rookie year they made it. But yeah, there was like some semblance of hope down there. But then, just the Dan Snyder tenure, just awful. And speaking of coaching staffs, you see what like Jay Gruden had. He had Shanahan, he had Sean McVay, he had Mike LaFleur, he had all these head coaches who are thriving right now.
Yeah, Raheem Morris is on that staff. I think there's somebody else too. Like,
that team with name.
The team went like 3-13. Man, it's always wild with that. And the last team I'm going to finish with is another team that's I've been a noted Bills hater in the past. I think this is my team that's going to win the Super Bowl now because Detroit's beat up. Josh Allen's pretty much going to win the MVP. I still have major reservations about Sean McDermott in the postseason. I think he's a Peyton Manning teeth clincher. Depending on if they play the Chiefs, depending on what's going on with Mahomes or whatnot, Buffalo could potentially get the 1 seed in the AFC. They're running away with the division. They've already won it. Like, that's a team. What if Joe Brady's going to be up for jobs? Maybe he goes to the Saints or something like that. I mean, he's like our peer. It's crazy that we got guys who's like going to be about to be like NFL head coaches. I'm like, dude, I can barely tie my shoes, man. I can't cook anything. Life's hard. We just write sports articles and grow facial hair. That's what we do.
Oh man.
Yeah, Buffalo's. It might be the year for them, and It might be a good time to buy low on some folding tables because there's going to be a shortage here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I was a big Bills doubter, especially this year. Like with Stephon Diggs gone, like, oh, who's he gonna throw to? Apparently, Josh Allen just goes superhero mode now and just like, I'll just make anyone look good and I'll just run all over the place, just truck people, But yeah, it feels like this is the year for them, especially the Chiefs are just, they're 10-0 in one score games,
Yeah.
like out of 13 or 14, whatever it is. Just it feels like this is the Bills' year. Like you, I am apprehensive about Sean McDermott. You see what he's done in the playoffs in the past, decisions that he's made that backfired. So maybe he's learned from this time around, but we'll see. But I agree, it does feel like this is Super Bowl or bust, the Super Bowl year for the Bills.
I think this team reminds me a lot of like the 2015 Panthers that Sean McDermott was a part of there on Ron Rivera's staff, with probably the closest approximation. Cam Newton and Josh Allen are kind of similar in some ways, a little bit. Newton a little more of a runner, but like they 6'5", 250, just Adonis, just trucking people. it's unbelievable. But you're right though. If the Chiefs are vulnerable, like the Steelers have a finite ceiling. I don't trust them. Texans haven't taken advantage of everything else like that. And then you're looking at like the Ravens, Chargers, and Broncos, who are fun, but they're kind of like a year away from being a year away. Also, Ravens might lose Todd Monken to a job, and figured he's probably going to be a head coach. And I miss you, bud. I wish you were back in Athens, man. That was fun. But this might not be fun because we're going to talk about some more pain here coming up here in a second. But all I want for Tischmas is blank. God, it looks so good on the ticker, doesn't it?
That is amazing. Like you sent that to me, I laughed. I got a good hearty chuckle out of that.
Yes. So if we could ask for one thing for Christmas for our teams this season, like what would it be? We could throw a stocking stuffer in. You have the floor, Scott. What's the one thing you wish the Giants could get you for Christmas or get the team for Christmas? What would you want?
I mean, I don't think you need to you don't need like a master's degree to figure it out. A quarterback, just get a quarterback. Whether it's a bridge quarterback, just a rookie quarterback, just get someone who has some sort of pulse back there. And if they run it back with Brian Dable and Joe Shane again, I'm expecting anything to happen. I don't know, but you need somebody to run the offense, to show some semblance of hope back there. Yeah, just if it's Shadur Sanders, if it's Cam Ward, if it's Sam Darnold, maybe he wants to come back to MetLife. I doubt it after he saw ghosts there that one night. Just any quarterback, not any quarterback, like no like Kirk Cousins or anything like that. Yeah, just get me a quarterback. That's it. That's all I want.
Yeah, I don't think it can. He only has 1.5 Achilles, and I don't think it's. I don't think. I mean, you're a biology minor. Can you get mono twice? I don't think you can. I think it's a once in a lifetime sort of disease. I don't know. I had it before; it was terrible, and I would don't wish. But Sam Darnold definitely got that, making out with God knows what in Tribeca. I don't even know if that's where he was. I just think it just sounds hilarious saying that. That obviously, I know that's what you wanted. Begging Santa Claus, please give me a quarterback. What I want for Christmas for the Falcons is I just want to give Raheem Morris some confidence. Just give him some more confidence. I'm like, you're a hell of a defensive coordinator. All these coaches rave about you. Sean McVay, Andy Reid, Dan Quinn, anybody is so happy for you. You belong. Like you belong. You've earned your stripes. You have the opportunity to coach a team you've already worked for that you have some working knowledge of. Arthur Blank believes in you. This team believes in you. Just don't throw up on yourself versus Jim Harbaugh in a game that you should win and not lose. They didn't score an offensive touchdown and he lost to the Chargers at home. What are we doing? It's 10 o'clock a.m. start for them. Just get some confidence, please. Like, I don't know what we need to do. Do we need to read Dr. Seuss books? Just something. What makes people feel confident? Ice cream. I don't know. Just something. Gold stars, treats, stickers, something. Just be confident, dude, please. That was that. Yeah, I said this is a therapy session episode.
That was a good vent right there.
Yes. And if you need a stocking stuffer beyond a quarterback, what are the Giants also going to get you?
That's a very good question. Maybe a new offensive tackle, or just, you know what? Offensive tackle depth.
There we go.
Offensive tackle depth. Just have someone who's capable of starting in case Andrew Thomas. I love him as a player. He is injury prone. Like, he'll get that injury and then he's done for the year. So you got to have some sort of depth back there. So get me just a backup offensive tackle, backup left tackle to be precise.
I can feel that. I mean, Andrew Thomas, great player, go Dogs, but yeah, he is a little brittle. That's how it is. Kirby got a lot out of him apparently in 3 years, and because he wasn't playing anybody at Pace Academy, he's playing up against just like tiny private school dudes in Atlanta, just trucking him. So since I ask for a pass rush every year for Christmas, how about a home playoff game? How about one in the division, like a Buccaneers loss? Like, that'd be cool. Like, I haven't had a home playoff game since we opened the Benz. Just do it. Like, it'd be nice. I don't care if we get smoked like 69-0 by the Vikings. Just one playoff game, get some revenue, mix experience for Penix and them. Like, I want people on this team to be like, okay, we can make the playoffs here. I don't have to go sign for like $60 trillion to go play for the Jaguars to get the bag and get out of Dodge. Like, just make the playoffs, which means win the division, because all you have to do is tie the Buccaneers because you swept them earlier. Just figure it out.
Yeah, that field looks like it's pretty locked up right now. Like, the wild card seems locked up now. It's just the matter of who wins the South and who wins the West for the last two spots.
Yeah, because it's Minnesota's clinched, and then Green Bay is right there, and Washington's about right there too. And then obviously it's going to come down to essentially what Seattle and LA out west, and Atlanta and Tampa down south. I think New Orleans is a little too far back.
Yeah, I think they're too far back. I think they're 5-8, 5-9, I believe.
Very Cowboys of them. So proud of you guys. Not at all. Can't believe we lost you. They lost their seventh. They lost 7 games in a row, and then they beat us, and then we finally just won since then. Stupid.
Hey man, the Giants. They almost tied against them. Almost. Then the blocked field goal happened.
You know what? We're gonna tie this weekend. That's how this weekend's gonna go. We're gonna have a tie. It's gonna be like kissing your cousin. You're like, nobody wins.
Oh man, that'll just screw up the whole draft order in that case. It's like, as if it's not confusing enough, the Giants tie. Oh man, what are we gonna do now?
Okay, just before we move on to our last topic here,
yes.
How does the breakdown between y'all and the Raiders for like the 1 seed? Like, I know you've probably been monitoring that a little bit more closer than others. Like, we're number 1 pick. Excuse me.
I know Tankathon, they have like a different kind of they go by strength of schedule, I believe. I'm looking at it right now. Excuse me. Yeah, that they have a strength of schedule of 538, and we have a strength of schedule of 550. But the ESPN odds, like, they put our chances at I think like 40-something% for the number 1 seed. Or number 1 pick. Sorry, I'm getting that confused again. I need to see what the Raiders. I know the Raiders play the Jaguars, so that's really going to be the main thing that's going to really shake things up. Jaguars, then Saints, then the Chargers.
Yeah, the Jags could also get in there too. I think they've got 3 wins now. But yeah, it's going to come down to like what strength of schedule, because y'all don't play head to head, opposite conferences. It's wild trying to figure out this strength of schedule thing. I also got the playoff this week here. Got the playoff on Friday with Notre Dame in Indiana. That's going to be insane. Then we might see Ryan Day coach his last game and then become the Giants head coach.
An angry Ohio Stadium again, maybe.
And Ohio State University. All right. Let's move on to the best topic we always do. Let's remember some dudes. We got some guys remembering dudes. Scott and I are both going to remember a pair of Falcons and Giants, and then 2 crossovers. So this is fun. We're just pontificate. This is one of my favorite things. I'm going to go with the legend, Jason Sehorn. That's played cornerback for them, played at USC, played them for the Jim Fossil era of the Giants. I guess end of Dan Reeves, Jim Fossil era. Went to a Pro Bowl, was a part of that defense that went to the Super Bowl in 2000. I forgot. I remember he was married to Angie Harmon. I did not know that he proposed to her on live television on Jay Leno.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was like really awkward. Like he proposed in front of like millions of people. It was like, what a jerk move to do to somebody.
That's too much pressure, man. That's too much pressure.
You have any thoughts from Sehorn's playing for the Giants back in the day?
I don't remember. Like, I was really young when he played, so I barely have memory. I know. I think my first Giants jersey was a Jason Sehorn jersey. My dad got that for me. Like, oh, he's a good player. Give him the jersey. So I had a 31 Sehorn jersey as a kid. So
yeah, I had my first jersey was a Deion Sanders jersey. I think it was a Cowboys jersey. In all honesty. But again, it's the same sort of thing. But yeah, cornerbacks are really good when we were really little, and that's how that goes. So you're gonna remember one of my favorite people a lot of people like this guy when we do the show. Michael the Burner Turner. What do you got about him?
see, like I have a selfish reason for liking him. I think 2012 or 2012 or 2011, I first started fantasy football amongst my friends, and I had to pick between Michael Turner and Adrian Peterson. I took Michael Turner because I didn't think Peterson was going to be that good, and I think that was the year Peterson won MVP.
Yeah,
But Michael Turner at the goal line was just a monster. So in the finals against Adrian Peterson, I won because of Michael Turner. So
what a time to be alive.
he was just a mauler, man. Just like you couldn't tackle him. Like I remember that just seeing him on the field, like that at the goal line is like Jerome Bettis, like that's a touchdown.
Yeah, we remembered him on the Chargers episode because that's like the main crossover for Falcons Chargers and everything like that. Legend at Northern Illinois, Michael the Burner Turner, doing some action for the Northern Illinois Huskies and everything like that. Didn't play a lot for the Chargers because he was backing up LaDainian Tomlinson, one of my all-time favorite players. He comes here in free agency. The Falcons in 2008 they're projected to be awful. This was Matt Ryan's rookie year. This is Mike Smith's first year as the head coach. And Turner's like, I think he finished like third MVP that year. The dude had thighs bigger than his waist. Like he was just the biggest dude ever and unbelievable in the red zone. His last game was 2012. He didn't play much. He didn't play after that. So he's been retired for like well over a decade. It was unfortunate though, like he kind of ran out of gas there at the end. If he would have just been a little bit more juice, maybe we get past the Niners and maybe we would have won the Super Bowl over the Ravens. But then again, Ray Lewis was on that deer antler spray, and he was unstoppable on all sorts of steroids at that point.
That was the year for the Ravens. It just felt like destiny, especially Joe Flacco, the Mile High Miracle, and then I think what was it, blowing out the Patriots? I think in the AFC Championship game, I forget, but yeah, this Ray Lewis retirement. It just felt like he's going to win a Super Bowl, and that it's just going to happen, and we're all going to have to accept that, and that's what happened.
Yeah, it was brutal. Can't stay Navarro Bowman for a bad penalty that should have been called in the red zone. Would have won that game. Yeah, not better about that. I will say that the 2012 Falcons team was better than the 2016 team. That's the best team I've covered and followed as a fan. That was also the year that broke me, and that's why I do this professionally because I couldn't explain what the hell was going on with 2012 Atlanta, Georgia sports. But before then, when I was younger, again, I told you my family is Giants fans. I went to Giants training camp once. Amani Toomer, yes, legend. Played out of Michigan and played his whole career there for the Giants. Never went to a Pro Bowl. I went to a training camp because my aunt lives up near Albany, so the Albany Great Danes that's where they had it. And my uncle and my cousin, who's a little bit older than me, were up there with my dad. And we're watching Giants training camp. My cousin tries to go to the bathroom, ends up crashing a banquet, and he's standing right next to Amani Toomer, just like in the back, like he's getting handed something. My cousin's like, "Oh no!" My cousin's like 16 at the time. He was so embarrassed. But yeah, that era of Giants football, like 2000s, like Jason Sehorn, Michael Strahan. It was Chris Snee was the center. Is that right?
Yep.
He might have been later. Jeremy Shockey, the Shockey shoe. He was cool. Kerry Collins just doing Kerry Collins things. That guy was a different person. But I was just a big fan of that era of Giants football. And then obviously I loved Eli Manning, but I had him as my fantasy quarterback one year, and he lost me because he threw 3 picks in one game.
Eli Manning was not a fantasy quarterback. You couldn't trust him. He'd win you real life games. He won't win you fantasy games. That's what I learned.
No, you probably remember Toomer a little bit more than Sehorn because he played there up to like 06, I think, a little bit maybe.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, 2008. So that was the year after the Super Bowl year where they beat the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he was just probably the most consistent receiver on that team. Like he had like so many 1,000-yard seasons. Like I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. No Pro Bowls, which is surprising, but he's got the most important thing, a Super Bowl ring. So that's all that matters.
Ring of Honor guy, nearly 10,000 receiving yards. Like that's the thing with Pro Bowl. Like Fred Taylor gets docked for that every year because he has one. He was sensational for the Jaguars, and like hopefully he gets in one day. Then again, I think John Riggins only had 1 Pro Bowl too. Ken Riley never had any, and we'll see who makes the Hall of Fame this year. I think that like I miss the David Baker guy like going up there and like giving people like hugs and stuff. So I think what they need is just a giant teddy bear offensive lineman. Just have Anthony Munoz or Jonathan Ogden come and give you a hug. That's what it should be. Who is this man? Like, or Michael Strahan or Howie Long coming to give you a hug? Are you gonna sack me?
Just a big man hug. That's it.
Yeah, I almost said Michael Strahan. He was one of my all-time favorite players too. So yeah, I can Giants family stuff like that. But if Eli was not a quarterback for fantasy football, this guy kind of was in his own unique way. Your distinguished alum of Rutgers University, Mohamed Sanu, legend. Mo's legend, dude.
I gotta go with the Jersey guy. I mean, come on. Like I remember him at Rutgers. He was probably like the most beast wide receiver that we've had there in a long time. So, and just seeing him in the NFL, I'd always follow him. He was on the Bengals to start off. And then just like towards the end of the Bengals tenure, then he went to the Falcons and just seeing like 653 receiving yards, 703, 838. And then the last year where he got traded, but he was just so consistent. And just the fact that he was the Jersey guy, Jersey, you look out for the Jersey guys, you root for the Jersey guys. Seeing him in the Super Bowl that year, I was really hoping that he would win it. Mohamed Sanu was my guy.
Yes, I think like with that era of Rutgers, it's like him, the McCourty twins, and Ray Rice are like the 4 players of note. I'm probably missing somebody else. Do you think there's another defensive back too? I think Logan Ryan played there too. Is that right?
Yeah, he played there.
Okay, yeah. I'm sitting there thinking like the first wave of Shiano there when they were kicking butt in the Big East. So he goes to the Bengals, and he's like the number 2 receiver behind A.J. Green, another guy who's just going to – that 11 to 15 run with the Bengals, Andy Dalton and A.J. Green, that's low-key underrated because Marvin Lewis couldn't win a playoff game. That era of Geno Atkins, they had some dudes. That era of Bengals football was really good. So 16 – Mo Sanu comes to Atlanta. He replaces Roddy White, who just couldn't separate anymore, had some issues with Shanahan's offense. Again, a lot of people have issues with Shanahan. That's a shocker, believe it or not. But he comes in here, and he's one of the 2 big free agent pickups with Alex Mack. Okay, we got a center, and we got a number 2 wide receiver to play opposite Julio Jones. He was the absolute vibes curator, man. He came in here, and he was being talk, just doing it. There's few people that like, a lot of people that are in Atlanta aren't from Atlanta, but like they kind of make it work and they fit in. And he was an embodiment of that. Just a really all around good dude. I wish he played here longer. Wish we would have gotten him in that ring. But I think every team he played for, everybody who's interacted with him loves the dude. And that's what this is all about.
For sure.
And another dude, we're first of 2 crossovers before we get out of here. No, I'll give you too long. Just crossed over the hour mark. We're making good time. Osi Umenyiora. Yes. Great Giants defensive end, very mediocre Falcons defensive end. But I remember him on Hard Knocks with the Falcons, and him and Roddy White were just chewing back and forth. He's like, "Shut the heck up, Roddy," the whole time. And phenomenal, big reason why you guys won those 2 Super Bowls. Elite pass rusher for you guys back in the day.
Yeah, like just right after, oh, sorry. Did I?
No, it's good. Yeah, OC. Yeoman, you can never. I can have no idea how to spell it. I looked it up, and that's why it's on the ticker right here. But yeah, memories of OC with the Giants.
Yeah, man. Like he was probably like the most consistent pass rusher when we had a good pass rush. Opposite Strahan, and then Justin Tuck too. Like it was so good when we had 2 good edge rushers off both ends of the offense of the line of scrimmage. He was just so consistent, man, and getting those Super Bowls. You reminisce about the good days when the Giants were good. It's like, oh yeah, I remember him. He was such a good player, and it completely passed my mind that he was on the Falcons. And when I saw that, I'm like, he was? But yeah, he was.
Yeah, very, very briefly, maybe like a year or two. I was doing some research about him. So, born in the UK, he's Nigerian. He moved to the States. He moved to Auburn, Alabama, and he went to the same high school, Auburn High School. 2 years younger than him was DeMarcus Ware. And for some strange reason, neither of them ended up playing at Auburn, which is insane. When I was looking at this, apparently he didn't get any offers out of Auburn. And the reason he went to Troy is because Auburn legend, and I believe he's the line coach for the Eagles, Tracy Rocker, was on the Troy Trojan staff. He's like, hey, come to Troy. And then DeMarcus Ware followed him, and you're talking about a guy who's won multiple Super Bowls and a Hall of Famer. That was in Auburn's backyard. They couldn't figure it out. What are we doing?
Oh, man.
And then we're going to finish up with one last guy, Falcons legend and a brief giant, Devonta Freeman. He was the running back after Michael Turner, had really good years there in Kyle Shanahan's system. Wish he could have made that block in the Super Bowl, but also wish Alex Mack's leg wasn't broken, and maybe we would have won a Super Bowl then. He was a rookie in 2014. I remember him on Hard Knocks, hanging out in his new apartment with a Devonta Freeman sized hot tub, just hanging out in there. I just think he always appreciated being in the NFL. I also remember he got his degree during the season because it was really important to him and his family. Phenomenal player at FSU, won a national title with Jameis Winston, and God, who was the wide receiver for them that ate his ass out of the league? He was big guy, played for the Panthers. God, he caught the game-winning touchdown pass. I'm gonna remember it as soon as we hang up the show. But he played a Panthers wide receiver. Doesn't matter. FSU Panthers wide receiver. Oh, Kelvin Benjamin. Kelvin Benjamin. There you go.
Yeah. Another Giant.
Another Giant. Was he a legend? I don't know, but he was on the Giants.
He told Judge off on his way out the door. So yeah, he's kind of a legend.
And Devonta Freeman eventually played with the Ravens and the Giants to kind of end his career. He had a couple of really good games there with the Giants towards the end before the wheels fell off the wagon, if I recall correctly.
2020 was such a freaking blur, man. I forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, he was a Giant in the 2020 season. It didn't register with me. Then I looked it up. I'm looking at it right now, September 23rd, 2020. So that was I guess, beginning of the season, just stocking up in as many running back, any player as possible. But yeah, they had 5 games, logged a little over 100 yards. But yeah, like you said, the wheels fell off. I was a fan of his on the Falcons. The first half of the Super Bowl, just running all over the Patriots. Kyle Shanahan, if he kept running the ball, I'm sorry, John, if he kept running the ball, might have won because they were doing well instead of, let me just do some trick plays, passes or whatever. So, yeah, I have good memories of Devonta Freeman on the Falcons. I always thought he was a very good running back. Shame that he was on the Giants, a little past his prime. And it didn't really pan out because he played those 5 games, and then he got waived. and like in January, the following January. So
Devonta Freeman's such a nice, likable guy, and Kyle, you mailed it in. Eventually, we'll have a mail segment called "Thanks a lot, Kyle, for mailing it in." And I'll end the show with this: horns down. Oh God! Did you know he was roommates with Chris Sims at Texas?
I feel like that's come up quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like this thing. It's like, did you know Clayton Kershaw and Matthew Stafford were high school friends?
Oh my God! It's like, or did you know that? I can't think of it. Oh, Todd Frazier. Did you know that he was from New Jersey and he took a photo with Derek Jeter in the Little League World Series? That the same thing, and it's gonna be like that. Did you know that Cody Bellinger's dad played for the Yankees in the '90s?
Did you know that John Krasinski and BJ Novak were high school friends?
Oh my God.
The one that was weird though, I think it was like a Matthew Tkachuk and who's the Jason Tatum? In St. Louis. Yeah, when Keith Tkachuk played for the Blues. Yeah, that's wild. And they both won like league championships the same year. Wild, absolutely wild. Maybe the Rangers will win one day, and maybe Atlanta will get a team again. Probably not.
the way they're looking now, no, that ain't happening. The Rangers are just like everything is on fire pretty much now, and they lost to the last place team in hockey twice, two different teams twice in the past 9 days. It's not good.
By hockey knowledge, is it the Senators or the Sharks? Or is it the Utah?
What, the last place? It was the Chicago Blackhawks, and then last night it was the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, rough time there for Smashville.
The Rangers were my reliable. Oh, I have the Giants stink. I have the Rangers at least. They're always good. No, this year just like, no, we caught the Giants. Like, we just have what they have now.
Yeah, when Rutgers becomes your reliable team, or the Yankees get Bellinger and Max Fried, he's gonna have to get rid of this. Unfortunately,
they already posted the photo on his MLB.com league page. It's clean shit. They gotta get rid of that rule, man. You let Aaron Judge wear like the Statue of Liberty gloves and cleats, and everyone else just let them grow the beard. Like, I'll die on that hill. And not a Yankee fan anymore, so just as a heads up.
Well, congratulations. I'm still a Braves fan, and this is the Blog and Dirty podcast. Yes. Be sure to watch, like, comment, and subscribe to the Blog and Dirty podcast on YouTube. You can follow me, John Buhler, on Twitter or the X at Buhler118. You can follow Scott Rogust at Scott R Writing. Yes, because it's on there. I can see that now, and that's it's very important because it changed. Because who cares about full names anyway? Be sure to read all of our Falcons coverage on the network on bloggingdirty.com. Be sure to read all your Giants coverage on G-Man HQ. Read all of our stuff on fanside.com. Anything you want to plug, anything you wrote on .com or edited that was really cool in the last couple of days or so.
I mean, with all the baseball craziness, if you want to find out like rumors about, just baseball stuff that's coming around, we have an insider, Robert Murray. Just follow us on fansided.com. We'll have all the scoops that you need. And if you want to see my writing, I wrote something yesterday about the Giants, about that 2022 GM search, if you're interested. It's 800 words of venting. So, that could be a good read for you. And you could share it to your fellow Giants fans that are as miserable as, the rest of the fan base. But yeah, just follow us fansided.com. We have good stuff there. Great writers there. John's a great writer, unique voice, and just click the link and share.
Yeah, we have a really good team there on .com. We got a lot of really talented people with a lot of different things that they specialize. I mean, I'm mostly college football and NFL at large. I write Falcons as often as I can whenever whenever the time comes. Mostly Cousins and Penix things, and we're also dumping on Terry Fontenot. That's Raheem Morris. Those are kind of like our tent poles there. Whenever that happens. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, thanks for coming on, Scott. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, John.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. And this is the Blog and Dirty podcast.